Facebook is like, hey, Facebook gives you an alert and says, hey, if you're 10 minutes past Facebook, hello, everybody. We'll let everybody get in here.
Slow it
as
down,
always.
Zuckerberg.
But it's Facebook doesn't like when you're tardy. They're like, hey, you said you were going to be here. Be on time. You're ruining our live brand as we share all your information. All right, Facebook. So judgmental. We'll let everybody get in here, and then we will bring on the famous, the none other, Nic Nielsen.
All right, so the share worked on the corporate account. Awesome.
I completely forgot about that. I'm glad you did it because I was going to do it before, obviously. Man, some crazy, I wish my posts were the ones that did so well. I got tagged in 2 posts, both that went over 100 notifications, and more than happy to support everybody, but it's the alerts and none of it is for me. It's the amount of alerts.
It's for you. If you're included, it's for you.
That's true. I mean, it really was me, right? I guess the whole reason it was me. I'm just kidding. All right, let's get in here. We'll give it a few seconds. We'll let Nick talk about his house. See how that's going. Move in next week. Get into the 1-page plan and all of that good stuff. You got your lighting going? It looks a little darker than usual for some reason.
Yeah, I got to pop these on. I will once we go to the commercial here.
Oh, okay. Cool. Looks like we got a pretty regular crew starting, 7 people. Don't forget, guys, if captions are annoying you, you can turn them off on your phone. I know you have to click this. Obviously, it's the CC either way. On the desktop, it's the bottom right. I can't remember where it is on the phone.
Captions are super annoying.
It's annoying because especially if a lot of people already put their captions in and they do their own. So I don't know if that's something that'll just go away, but the captions are always over top of other captions and stuff like that. So it's annoying. How far back are we? It's pretty far back when I watched the show.
Yeah, quite a ways. Yeah, might as well get into it.
Might as well get into it. All right, guys, let us know you're here. And just tag Nick. You'll 10 times your alerts. Yep. Just everybody let us know you're here. Say hello. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and get started with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 1-page financial plan. As most of you already know, we're going to have on Nic Nielsen. Many of you have been watching him for months, known him for the past year, been watching his content. Already had him on once and had one of our best episodes, I would say. So I'm more than excited to bring Nick back on. And I know you are too, Corey.
For sure. Nick's just a good dude. Great kind of friend to have in the community. Great friend of MCO Advisors. So I'm excited to get into it with him, chat, and of course our conversation I'm sure will go in a bunch of different directions anyways. So
great dude. And from what I was hearing from him, he has a few friends, I feel like, on LinkedIn. A lot of us are all feel like we know each other really well and have never met, similar to us, Corey, as we have still never met. And I wonder if we'll ever meet even before the year mark of MCO. That'll be really interesting to see.
I don't know. This whole, the virtual thing has made it really easy.
Yeah. I don't even know if I want to meet people anymore. I'm not sure. No, there's something to being in person. There's still something special about it. And I'll be looking forward to bringing this whole group together. We should do a live, like in-person show somehow. How we bring everybody. I don't know how we would do that.
Call the advisor.
Somehow have an event or something. Yes. Yeah. Something awesome where everybody actually all comes in. So again, appreciate you guys being here. Nick and his partner Jeff is what I was considering scaling simplicity. One of the things I want to talk about with Nick is his overall business model, which leads right back to his 1-page financial plan. Everything with Nic is so clear and easy to understand. It's got to be one of the reasons his frictionless content and ability is what helps him to move so quickly. So I'll talk to him a little bit about his successes. and kind of get into it. So without
So
further
basically,
ado,
when he left the bank, he left all the bureaucracy behind. That's basically what we're getting at.
yeah, I mean, he stepped out and took
Just left
over.
it. Just gone.
And the thing I also like about Nic is he resonates with advisors in the same that he resonates with his people. So he gets advisor attention from speaking to his avatar, rather than a lot of us, myself included sometimes, is getting attention by accidentally speaking to advisors. And that's a huge difference in content. So again, I don't want to take the episode away. Nobody wants to
let's get him in.
Anyway. Let's bring in Nic Nielsen. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for the ego boost. This is great. We should do this more often.
It's going to be a whole show giving you high fives and pat on the backs. So
man, this is what I needed.
Yeah.
You're like, see, honey, they love me.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, this is what LinkedIn is. I told you I was cool. That's what I tell my wife. I'm like, look, 100 reactions. Can you do that? Can you do that? Does that mean anything in this relationship? So before we get into anything, you're building your house, and we were just talking about you making a few decisions. How is that going with you being awesome at LinkedIn and working and building a house? How's that been?
So the house has been awesome because I haven't had to do anything other than just completely seize control of that project to my wife. So she's informed me that Thursday of next week starts the big move in. So we're super excited to get going on that. We had the home inspection, so that's all done. So we are in the final stages and ready to move forward. Maybe we can host the first IMCO in-person event at the new complex.
I'm sure Mrs. Nielsen would love that.
Absolutely.
We can give her a spa day, and life will be fine. She'll come back to 100 of her of good bearded advisors. And I didn't shave this morning in a way to kind of troll Keith and Anthony. It was a way to kind of join their cool network.
No, they do own the beard. They do own it. And if I could grow a real one, I probably would too. So I try to keep it short because it just doesn't look right. So I'll join that club when I get there. Maybe when I'm 40, 45, we'll see. I don't know. So besides the house, Nic, how has everything else been since last time we talked? Keeping up with your content. We talked a little bit offline. Didn't want to ruin it too much. So why don't you just get into how the drawings have been, what your focus has been on marketing, and how it's been for your business?
Yeah, so business continues to boom. I think people want simplicity. There's always some pain point that is the reason why they meet with me in the first place. And I'll give you a personal example of how I want simplicity in my own life. We recently had our homeowners inspection. I wasn't there for the process, but we got a 68-page PDF that was sent to me. And I'm just reading through the first couple of pages. I was like, wow, this is like really over my head. Unlike Panko, I have no like woodworking skills or any sort of manly type of skills that would allow me to even begin to understand a lot of the concepts that were being portrayed to me. So I just called the guy up and I said, hey, Greg, how are we here? He's like, oh, the house is great. I said, okay, well, 68 pages doesn't seem like the house is great at this point. What are the 3 or 4 main bullet points that I need to go back to the builder and have them fix? He's like, oh yeah, no big deal. Let me just write you an email up with the bullet points that I would ask the builder about. And so I talked to him a little bit. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I want. Have you ever thought about leading with just an overarching statement about the property and just a few bullet points? He's like, no, I've never thought about that, but it's funny that everybody calls me after I send them this PDF. And so last night, the same home builder calls at about 8:30 at night. I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be good. What's this guy want? He's going to tell me that we have some sort of aggressive alien mold that's never been seen before. It's going to be a complete teardown. He's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, over the past 4 days, I've been proactively sending out these 4 bullet points that I see on the house. He's like, nobody's called me back. It's like, that's
Nic,
exactly right.
How much of that, like, this is rhetorical because I think the 3 of us know the answer, but like, how much of this is people feeling like the more work and the more complexity they put into it, it solidifies the value that they think that they need to be adding?
Yeah, I think we live in a world of content, right? There's no shortages of content that exists today. And I think the vast majority of people, when they're going to look for a new service, they're going to Google it or YouTube it, and they're probably going to find a video from Keith or from Panko. But at the end of the day, I think our job as financial planners or salespeople is just to provide context in the world of content. And I think that's really what people are looking for. I think that's why like my one-page financial plan resonates with people when they see it. I think that's why the 3 or 4 bullet point email from the home inspector is resonating with people. We're so busy. We just want, okay, where are we at? What are the next steps?
Yeah,
especially
it's
in worlds we don't understand.
Yeah,
because it's like I can't be. You don't have time to become a builder. Mm-hmm. You don't have time to learn a skill you never decided to learn on your own in the first place. That simplicity creeps through, and it seems like whenever we talk on the phone or anything, you always hone in on that. Have you always been that way? Have you always seen simplicity? Have you always found context in a confusing world?
I think part of that is both of my parents are retired teachers. So I saw that kind of like heart of the educator my entire life growing up. And teachers were always interesting to me because I thought the best teachers were ones that could take really complex topics and stuff that seemed overwhelming, and they could break it into small bite-sized chunks. I never really liked science growing up, and I had this amazing chemistry teacher in high school. I'm like, man, this is so cool. And so my first 2 years of college, I did chemical engineering. And I was like, well, I love the math. I love all the thought processes behind engineering, but I just don't think it's fun. And that led me ultimately to financial planning and just the wonderful blessing that has been. But I think the best people in any profession are able to take something complex and make it simple to where someone can say, oh yeah, that makes sense. I can grasp that. I didn't think I understood it before, but now I kind of understand how it all works together.
Nic, any coaching for advisors out there, like that you put you kind of put when you're putting content out into the world, when you're putting a message out, when you want to put something in front of a client, is there a filter that you put that through that allows you to not dumb it down, but simplify it?
That's a great question. One thing that I learned in the bank from being there for over a decade, working with young people, old people, professional athletes, widows, school teachers, is that if there's no pain point, there's no client. That's just the bottom line. And so whenever I put content in the world, I'm thinking about kind of like the Venn diagram of where's the pain point, where is their financial complexity, and who are the people that I enjoy working with. And the intersection of those three is what I try to do to create content, speaking to my avatar. And whenever I think about my avatar, I can close my eyes and I can see them. It's the husband that's 42. It's the wife that's 38. They have the 3 kids. They drive a minivan because minivans are cool. It's always been my dream vehicle. And they're flying through Chick-fil-A way too fast. And they're on their way to baseball practice. And they're just hoping they get there a minute before practice starts so the coach doesn't make them do burpees. That is how I envision my avatar. So it's the intersection of that Venn diagram where there's a opportunity to have a mutually beneficial relationship with that ideal client.
I love that. And especially how you display it. You always say you shouldn't do video, and maybe you shouldn't edit your own video, but you're a spectacular speaker, and I feel like you present really well. Not to say, change up your life, but I'm just, again, this is the ego boost you wanted, and it's the ego boost you're going to get.
I mean, if I had Keith's face, I would do nothing but video. I never know exactly where to look with the camera. It never looks quite right. If I was Keith, baby, I'd be doing video all day. So yeah. But I enjoy the drawings. It's something I enjoy doing. I love doing the little videos, that we do from time to time as well. I think a man must know his limitations.
And especially like if something's working, why stop, right? Like you were talking about a snowball effect. So if something's going to be creating this substantial growth, it's like, why would you change it up anyway? And I'd like to mention too, everybody, we're definitely going to be trickling in a little bit of questions. We'll be going over the 1-page plan, obviously, but make sure you get your questions in. And if Nic and I and Corey are all speaking, then obviously we'll make sure to get you guys at the end. So just put in your questions in the comments, and we'll make sure to get to them.
Before we jump into that plan, I want to make sure we drive home this point, because you made this last week, Nic. We were having a conversation offline, and one of the things you said, which I think about all the time, and Ryan and I talk about a lot offline as well, is everything you do, you are keeping that avatar in the back of your head. And I think that is, it's not, I don't want to sound negative here, but that's just such a great miss that not just advisors are missing on, but, most marketers, most salespeople, most people in general are missing, because they jump that and they go into what's in it for me versus what's in it for them. And I love that you say that you lead with that when you're messaging and when you're creating and when you're talking, speaking, offering.
And I think it's okay to alienate people, right? You can't be all things to everybody. 98% of the people probably aren't going to like or resonate with my content or more. And that's okay. Because I only need, if 1% of my connections on LinkedIn became clients, I would have more clients than I ever knew, what to do with at this point. But I'm wildly passionate about when I take a client, I'm the very best advisor for them that exists. And if I didn't feel that way, I wouldn't take them as a client. I would refer them to somebody else who I thought would be a better fit.
You guys should chop this up for some content for yourselves, because this is, for you and Jeff, this is really good for the Know My Plan business.
We'll try our best. You know how we are with video, but maybe we could use the audio. Then I can draw a picture.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Draw a picture over it.
With success from last time, especially, I asked this off camera, so I wanted to ask it on. How you said business has been, I asked you if it was the same or speeding up, and you said it's been speeding up. So why don't you talk about that and let us know when it happened, when you felt the tipping point?
Yeah. So we talked a lot last time. We did a lot of things where we set money on fire to figure out what worked. And then probably May of last year was the accelerant, right? Business from LinkedIn came relatively fast. And I felt like the whole process was pushing that snowball up the hill, and that was building content, building a brand, people understanding like what your message is. And then you just kind of get to the top of that mountain and you let go of the snowball, and it's just rolling down the mountain and getting faster and faster and faster. And the prospects are getting more and more qualified. So I figured the question would come up about the number, and I'll tell you that the number is 3. That is the number of people that I wanted to work with that chose not to. If I gave you the number of clients that we brought on, nobody would probably believe me or believe the pipeline. But I will say that it works incredibly, incredibly well. But I love Mr. Ruffalo and how he talks about that the financial plan is the audition for the assets. I 100% believe that is true. And the financial plan is so incredibly important. And 3 of those clients, we've gone through the process. We've given them the financial plan, and they just implemented it on their own. Completely fine with that. We have no problem with that whatsoever. But it continues to be wildly successful. Continue to get new people that show up on my calendar every day. A lot of times they're not even first connections. Most of the time they're not first connections. So I've just been very, very blessed. I don't know how long it will keep up. I don't know if I'll have to pivot and change strategy at some point. But at this point, we're just enjoying the ride.
Give us some perspective between you and Jeff, your business partner. What are the conversations you guys are having? You've been having pre-May, post-May, during this, as you guys are riding the success. What are the conversations you guys are having?
The main conversations that we're having is just about process, like just making sure, because things are going so fast, just to make sure that the infrastructure is completely buckled down. So one of the changes that we made is that he's taken on all of the administrative duties, money movement, trading, things like that. The trading platform took a lot of time away from me. And so by him taking that time to implement that and handling all the administrative tasks, that frees me up to have more conversations.
So is it front of the house,
people.
back of the house kind of situation you guys have ironed out?
Yeah. And it's not that he's not involved with client relationships, because we do a ton of joint meetings as well, especially for existing clients. But those initial, someone schedules an appointment type of thing, those are ones that I'm handling completely alone, at that initial onboarding and setting the groundwork and kind of doing the one-page financial plan. Those are the things that I'm doing, and he takes care of all the back of the house stuff, which has worked out incredibly well. And when you're taking on this many new clients at this rate, and there's only 2 people, we're a small team, you have to make sure that you have your I's dotted and T's crossed.
When do you get to the point when you either shut it off or you hire somebody else? Are you guys looking to grow past your partnership?
It's not an intent to grow. We've both managed people in the past. When I was in the bank, I had some managerial responsibilities, especially as a young person. It's not something that I ever enjoyed or think that I would really enjoy going on in the future. If we did hire a person full time, it would probably be just from a marketing standpoint, and that would just be someone who could handle dealing with compliance and making sure that our newsletter went out, and could take some of the content and put it out into the world, so I could focus on making more content and meeting with more people. So I think that's the biggest probably the next step.
Yeah, the content curator or disseminator, that person behind the content. Yeah.
So I like creating the content. I'm never going to get to the point where I outsource my voice. I think that's a mistake that a lot of advisors make, because how can you connect with your tribe if you don't voice what you think, right? The beautiful part of this business is, if you do it right with LinkedIn or social media or any of the platforms that are out there, is people fall in love with you and your thought process and how you think. And so when people come to me, it's all in tune. What they hear on a video that I do or the content that I create, when I actually speak to them, it's interconnected. It's not disjointed at all. And I think when you let somebody else create content for you, it can become disjointed and come across as unauthentic once they actually meet you.
Beyond it can become, it will become. I've been in that business. Ryan and I've talked about that ad nauseum offline. I had a conversation just the other day with a friend of the community, Stacy Havener, and she was, her and I had shared our opinions about it offline. The marketers don't feel as good about it either. It's very difficult to speak for somebody else and have it deliver that message.
Yeah, absolutely. So we think probably the next hire would not be an advisor. It would just be someone to help us with the marketing voice and getting that to more people, just trying to help more people with context.
100%. That's awesome. And I like how also, obviously, you talk about your failures and how you got there. But it's nice to see the snowball and see the success of it, that it's happening. And I can imagine that. Did you ever think about one thing I wanted to ask? I saw every once in a while you post a video at night, or you would try posting twice a day. Did you notice that helped or hurt in any way when you increased? Because I imagine if business is coming in so fast, you say, what about a little more content? What does that do? Did you test that, and how'd that feel?
Yeah. I'll tell you, the video that we did that got the best response from people is we did a video late one night. We were supposed to have a client meeting, and something happened where the client couldn't show up. And so I just off the cuff asked Jeff what he was having for dinner. And he
a 5-minute explanation.
he did his very passionate discussion of chicken franchise, which I had never heard of chicken franchise before. Yeah. But I can't tell you how many messages and text messages I got about Jeff's passion for cooking, which was wonderful, because with our relationship, there's a lot more people that get to see me, hear from me, get my content than Jeff's. So we got a lot of wonderful response from that. It is hard to tell a little bit, like analytically, how many people are consuming the video versus a written piece, because if you just look at views or whatever, video is going to be substantially less. But there were some DMs about the video, but not as many DMs from like my written content. The written content tends to do better. But
I think it just travels.
It's out in the world. Yeah. Who knows how the algorithm actually works? What triggers someone to send you a DM? But the vast majority of people over a 5-year period will have some sort of pain point that drives them to a financial advisor. And so you just want to be top of mind when that happens, right? Whenever that tipping point for them as a person is to say, oh my goodness, I can't do this on my own. I don't know these RSUs or the employee stock purchase plan, or should I accept the grant? Whenever that tipping point is and they reach out to a financial advisor, you want to be one of those 2 or 3 names that they think of, like, hey, I should reach out to Nic. I heard Roths were great. I think Nic is the Roth guy. Yeah. I've had a few of those. So it's just the continual friction
branding
on people.
I mean, you're just branding, and it's your video doesn't have to turn into business, but the video can be part of the overall marketing campaign that does turn into business.
I think probably the most polarizing thing I've done recently is I changed the background on my drawings from white to black. So there's definitely a love-hate relationship with the black background. That was interesting.
You see people are liking it or not liking it?
It's like 50-50. Like there's people that reached out and loved it, and there's people like, what are you doing? This is terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, before we jump into the 1-page plan, because I do want to get to that, and I know Ryan's eager to get to that. Give me like the honest truth. Thoughts on the amount of drawings that are showing up in the feed that are not yours, that are, people just kind of doing what you've been doing. What do you feel about it?
I love it. I think it's great. I mean, there's some really skilled artists out there, like JB Morris out in Boston. He did a thing last week about the burrito, about the elements of a burrito. He drew this chicken. I'm like, this chicken is amazing. I can't believe he drew this chicken freehand. So, I mean, Zach Schaefer's doing drawings every day. I think it's great.
Yeah, Schaefer's got some good ones. He's got some nice. They hit. I noticed, and that's one of the things where I feel like you still stand out is the message that comes with it. But I do notice a lot of drawings. And
then like Jonathan Bednar, he's the godfather of Canva.
Yeah,
he's super amazing with Canva. I've done a couple of things on Canva. I'm like, man, this is not my medium. I see something that the Bednar puts out. I'm like, I can't compete with that.
I tried that as well, messing around with it a little bit. Also got into Adobe Rush, and it's just once I get too technical, it's difficult. I'm stepping out of my wheelhouse.
Nic, I ask you because Ryan and I, we have these conversations with advisors, and you've heard us say this because you've heard this content before. But for everybody listening, like we hear so often advisors getting stuck because they feel like someone else is already doing it, and we try to explain to them that, but you live in Wyoming and so lives in Florida, and your audiences are not the same. And even if they were, the world is abundant, and you're going to find your tribe. You're going to find your people.
I mean, Ruffalo and I are 20 minutes apart, and our niche is the same. And we both have more clients coming in than we can handle. It's abundance mentality.
Mm-hmm.
It's North Carolina. Everybody should move.
Everybody is moving. I don't know if you've seen the housing market here, but literally everybody is moving. I don't think there's going to be anybody left in Ohio or New Jersey at this rate. They're coming.
Is that the pool?
They're coming, and they're coming fast. So if I was probably an advisor in the Carolinas starting out, I would probably have a niche market as like Ohio State football fans. Like I'm the financial advisor in the Carolinas for Ohio State transplants. That's amazing. It would probably
I love that.
Or if you're an advisor in Ohio, just move to the Carolinas.
There you go.
and start that niche. You could speak to them as one of their own, a native son, come to rescue them.
Let's throw in a quick question before we get into the plan. since we were laying on this. Joe Conroy comes in. First of all, he says, "Hey, Nick." Second comment, how proactive are you in growing connections versus having people connect with you?
Do we lose you, Nick?
We froze.
Action.
We froze. He didn't like the question. Sorry, Joe. Yeah. It upset him so much. I think he just shut off his laptop.
We'll put this one up too while we wait for Nick to get back. Hey, Jeff, good morning. Does anyone market on radio anymore? Radio's, if the price is right, I love radio. Depending on your demographic, I wouldn't market to me on radio, but I would market to 50 up on radio.
Yeah, I think I don't know. That's hard. I have a lot of people, and again, I think it's definitely depends what you do, the channel you're on, the time, and all that stuff. I think you have to be very specific to that. I imagine there's a popular show where people need to be, or a time slot people need to be when it comes to radio. And the only reason I say that is because I hear about and spoke to a lot of advisors who try to do a weekly, monthly radio show. And you're spending money on it, trying to be somewhere, and people just don't listen to it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the radio show per se, but I mean, Jeff's obviously having success with it. But I love, you could always be a commercial.
How he's doing it too, and that's what I bring up. I don't know who's doing it right. I imagine there's got to be a specific way, or maybe the time, or how he's local. I'm not sure, but there's got to be a. Hey man, how's it going?
Welcome Sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
Hey, it's okay.
Right.
The last thing I heard was a question from Joe Conroy.
Yeah. So his question was, how proactive are you in growing connections versus having people connect with you?
Yeah. So I use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and I try to add some executive connections there that I think would be a good fit. I don't do it a lot. I've gotten a pretty good amount of connections at this point. So it's not something that's a huge priority at this point.
Would you consider that your infrastructure of you finding those connections so that they saw your content, or were you just putting out good stuff and you felt like people found you?
Probably some of both, right? I think they go hand in hand. Most of the people who have become clients or reached out to meet with me are second connections. So I work with executives as kind of my niche, but I connect with executives and they might like something or whatever, and then their network of fellow executives see it. So it's kind of the old analogy that, eagles hang with eagles, seagulls hang with seagulls. So you connect with as many eagles as you can, and either they like it or will like it in the future, or their network might. So that's my theory on that. It's all important.
And lastly, before we get into the plan, I think I have to bring up the reactions and engagement. One of your biggest posts by far, I would say, besides something that really hits home, I think, with whether the advisor community or others, would be when you're talking about something personal. I saw you post about music, you post about tea. It's always something positive and upbeat, but a benefit. You have your bullet point, your list, and that is something that I feel like it's very heavily engaged. Your technical content, your context content is bringing a lot of value, speaking directly to your avatar, and you might have 12 likes, but you are snowballing in that direction. And the reason I bring that up is because I find that a lot of people talk about engagement, and we're focusing on making sure we get people engaged. And that's easy to do from advisor to advisor. Speaking to advisors from advisor, you're not selling them anything. It's like locker room content. I find it's very easy to get engagement. I think you do a great job of engaging with other advisors, but staying away from that. What would you suggest to people who you think are speaking to the wrong person?
Don't get too hung up on the likes in the comment. I say likes are lies, because they don't really measure what's happening. To me, it's an avalanche of multiple barrage of content, but the key is, are you consistently getting DMs, right? That's how I measure it. If somebody is an exec at Abbott Labs, they're probably not going to jump in a conversation with 10 other financial planners, right? If they truly have a question about restricted stock units, they're probably not going to jump in there and get bombarded about it. Or if, hey, I have whole life, is that good? They're probably not going to jump in that conversation with 10 other financial planners. And feel inferior, right? But they're confident enough to say, hey, I really like the article that you did on restricted stock units. Could you help me understand how my plan works? I can't understand it. Yeah. So to me, the magic is in the DMs.
100%. That's the one thing I'm trying to figure out, of giving people statistics. And while I can't put a percentage or whatever on, I know that the activity in the DMs has to be happening, and that's where the conversion is. That's where the line crosses. And that's the tag, or the thing that people need to be thinking about. Something I learned.
Is there a question out there really, like, if you're an advisor and you're putting out quality content consistently that like is just good shit that's for the value of your audience, like, is there any question that this stuff works? Like, I haven't run into anyone like Nick who says, man, I'm putting out the best stuff in the world and there's no activity, zero, nothing's happening. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, if you're doing it for long enough and you're putting it out into the world, there's activity taking place. And Ryan, you and I see this. Like, when you and I are heavy pushing out quality content, we get messages back talking to us about the stuff we're putting out. And the same thing Nick's saying.
Yeah, I think the one tricky thing with LinkedIn is that you have to have enough of your ideal clients that you're connected with on LinkedIn. You know, if 80% of your LinkedIn connections are wholesalers and other financial advisors, you know, the reach of your content just isn't going to be good enough. And I've told some people, I was like, the number one thing you need to do with your LinkedIn profile at this point is just delete every single connection you have and just start over. Like, sometimes you just have to burn the ship and restart. And that's okay. Create a new LinkedIn profile entirely and just go after people only that are in your niche market. And I think that's much better, because the metrics have to work in your favor. There's an algorithm for a reason. You have to give that algorithm a chance to work for you. But to your point, great content over time will work, but you can't put out great content for 2 months and be like, oh my goodness, this didn't work. I've got nothing. Well, you know, 2 months isn't long enough to make a fair judgment of anything that you're doing. And also, if 90% of your connections are never going to be future clients, you know, you're swimming in the wrong pool. You gotta build the infrastructure.
Yeah, 100%. And let me also take back. I didn't say radio was. I don't think I said radio was bad, but I've been looking in the comments and Jeff's killing it with radio. Dan brought up a $10 billion RIA out west, started from a radio show. I would love to bring somebody on and talk about a radio show and how that's working, because I would imagine that advertising on the radio or having a radio show would be cheaper now, as I would assume people aren't there. It'd be something to look at, but that'd be interesting. Nick, with your recent success, you talked about the one-page. I would like to have you describe a little bit from a marketing standpoint. Why'd you start bringing it up? And where was the success when you started marketing that and bringing up that plan? What were the conversations happening? How did you know that was hitting?
Yeah, so we have been doing this version of a similar version of this one-page plan for the past 7 years. Like, we call it our castle picture. It's a process that we take all of our clients through, whether they have $100,000 or $10 million. It's the same process that we take clients through. And basically, the one-page plan it's this castle picture that lists all of their assets that they have. And sometimes people just love that, to know on one piece of paper they can see, you know, everything they have in a very simplistic format. It's their emergency funds. It's the money we're setting aside for major purchases in the next 3 years. It's our intermediate term money, which might be 3 to 7 years. It's our nest egg money, which is our 7+ years. That's the money that we're setting aside to replace our income in retirement. And the fifth checkpoint is our legacy money, which is life insurance and long-term care and disability, and make sure that we have our estate planning documents in order. So what we do is we take that castle picture and then we add things that are really important to that. And that's their goals. And at the top of the page, it's going to have their goals. And it might be to reach financial independence in 10 years, to make sure I'm not a burden on my children, and to make sure that I get my children through college. So those might be some goals. And then the most important thing is some very simple and concise next steps. And basically, hey, these are the things that we want to do in the next 90 days. And a lot of times it's 2 or 3, maybe 4 bullet points. of actionable next steps that they need to take. And then we're going to review that in an activity in 90 days and reach out and get an update on it. And we're just going to continue that process. And the story that we say is, I've delivered 70-page plans. I've delivered 170-page plans, and they were terrible. And when clients see a lot, they do a little. When clients see a little, they do a lot. When I gave people 70-page plans that had 26 action items, and then I would meet with that person in 6 months or a year, the result was almost unequivocally that they completed nothing, maybe one thing. Like, this is crazy. Nothing, no one is actually pursuing their goals. So all right, let's take smaller chunks. Let's break this down into the things that we need to accomplish in the next 90 days. And it was just like a light bulb went off for us as planners, a light bulb went off for the clients. And all of a sudden we saw incredible action taking place. Now, it doesn't mean that everything gets accomplished in those 90 days. There's people that slip up on stuff. So one of those things might stay on there for the next 90 days and they get 2 or 3 new activities. But the vast majority of people are accomplishing those tasks, and we keep just moving the ball forward, and we keep advancing forward, and they're accomplishing more things in a shorter amount of time. So that was really our headspace of taking what was working for us and really just branding it as the one-page financial plan, something we've been doing for 7 years, same conversation we've been having for people with 7 years. We just streamlined it, made it simpler for us, simpler for the clients, and more importantly, people are actually making substantial progress towards goals.
What made you decide to do the one-page plan? And I'm guessing it was very easy for you to decide to draw a picture.
Yeah, obviously, with my love for pictures, that made it super simple. And part of that, during the last 3.5 years, with us going from the bank to going independent, we had some financial planning software changes, and we're not in love with any of the financial planning software. And we didn't love the output for clients. Well, this is ridiculous. This is for the advisor, right? So if you think about like the iceberg analogy, the 1% that's above the water, that's what the clients need to see. The stuff that's below the water line, that's the 70-page plan, that's for the advisor. Our job is to provide the context on that 70-page and give those the actionable items. So it was those aha moments of seeing people really quickly taking action and being like, okay, we got that done. What's next? I got the home equity line of credit paid off. What's next? Okay, I got 6 months in my emergency fund. What's next? So people were getting excited about pursuing those 1 or 2 things at a time.
Yeah.
People love accomplishing things, a sense of accomplishment. 26
Nick, what's the feedback been?
Tasks is overwhelming for most.
Talk to us a little bit about the feedback. Like, what have you run into clients? Is this it? Has there been any of that?
Surprisingly not. Like, that was our biggest. I get more of that feedback from other advisors when I show them the process than clients. I've shown it to executives, CEO level at large firms who look at this and be like, oh my goodness, I've been looking for this my entire life. This makes sense now. For the first time, I can see it. I've never had that feedback from a client, but I get that feedback from advisors all the time. This is too simple.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand if someone who's very simple with a very simple situation would appreciate this, but my clients that have $1 million or who are executives, this isn't what they're looking for. Like, well, have you asked them?
Why are we always under the impression that people who have a lot of money enjoy like managing it or complexity? Yeah. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you want to indulge in anything with 50 pages. Even an avid reader wouldn't, enjoy something like that. So it's interesting, and it seems simple. And one of the things that we've been doing I've been talking to you about directly was your one-page financial plan. We've been talking about this a while, months before you were explaining this to me. You're even nice enough to share an example. And I've been taking that back to MCO and trying to deliver that same thing through the plan of where we have these little bullets. And then we put down, this is what's going to happen over the next, we do 30 days, since whether we're meeting once a month or every 2 weeks, of saying, here's what we want you to do. And similar to you, I've noticed a lot of people getting a lot more done, building a lot more infrastructure, putting out a lot more content, because it's like, let's not throw out the gauntlet of newsletter, podcast, and all the stuff that we need to do. Let's just put a few actionable items ahead of us, and we'll deal with the rest next month.
Yeah, and people love accomplishing things. They want to accomplish tasks. And I would say that most people that reach really high sales or executive roles, they're probably really good at solving problems. And they're probably really good at taking a lot of information and synthesizing it down and making important decisions for their businesses and their own occupations. They expect us to do the same. They just may not know how to ask us to do that. But when they see it from us, they get it like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I'm doing for the hospital or in my sales role, or yeah, this is exactly what we're trying to do for my company. We're trying to figure out all of this stuff that's out there and what are the next 2 or 3 things we need to do this quarter. So I think the higher you go up the corporate ladder and working with more and more complex financial situations, the simpler you want to make it.
Yeah. You're right. We should definitely open up for questions at some point just to make sure we.
Oh yeah, I wanted everybody to throw in questions, so questions are all here. Throw them in, and we'll get to it. Obviously, the last one I have. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
No, please. I before we get into questions, I wanted to ask him a couple things, which it sounds like you do as well. So go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to aim on was, you've been doing this one-page financial plan for probably a while for your own households. Yep. When did you start marketing it? And what has the effect been of you actually putting the one-page plan in your marketing?
Yeah, so we've really just started that from a marketing standpoint over the past 6 weeks. And the results have been incredible. I don't know if it's directly tied to that, but I mean, certainly the velocity of, appointments that just show up on my calendar and DMs has gone up pretty substantially. We are doing a little bit of ad spend on Facebook.
Cool.
We've done 2 different ads. We did more of like a static ad that was just like written content about the one-page plan. And then we did a video. It's a 26-second video of me talking about the one-page financial plan and why busy executives need it. Corey, you will be interested in the fact that the video has done far superior to the written content on the Facebook ad, probably is no surprise. Click-through rates have been good. So I think that's helped as well. But, I never know exactly why or how people find us, and I don't bother.
Are you tracking that to the point where know people are coming from Facebook?
No, and I probably should, but at this point, I just don't care. I just like meeting with people, and I don't want to take the 2 or 3 extra minutes to figure out, to bury them with a litany of questions on how they came to me.
That's fun. That's funny.
I think about that a lot, though. Like, knowing where people come from is important, and knowing what's working, obviously, it's important. So you're not flushing money down the toilet. But if you're having success in the moment and your time is so valuable, I think like you're never going to look back, you and Jeff, in 10 years and be like, I wish we had just thought about, was Facebook really working as hard as we thought it was? Because you're going to have a business that's so big that it doesn't even matter at that point. Like you guys need to, like you're doing, you don't need me to tell you this, but you guys are focusing on the next step and stop worrying about steps you've already taken.
Right. I mean, the velocity of the money is incredibly important because you don't know how long it will last. We don't know how long until LinkedIn is a, $150 a month subscription fee for everybody who wants to be a part of it. So, we have no idea how long the good times will last. So the velocity of money really matters. And
do you think you could afford that, Nick?
Well, I mean, I think I can. I don't know how many people that it would drive off the platform.
I'm just joking. And you're 100% right. And I think where your brand will actually snowball from here, and it'll be more of a situation where you're going to be turning people away instead of, filling up as many buckets as you can of water because you think it's going to stop. But I think it comes in the whole package. One of the things I realized with your one-page plan and your marketing leads to your website, your process, it's all very connected. And that's something I've learned over time just from watching your content and talking to you. And I realized that the best content backs in the best business. Do you feel like your business processes led into your content in any which way? Do you feel like how you help people and how you were financial planning is what helped guide your marketing?
Yeah, with 1,000%, because we're both very, very process oriented people. So our process was probably better than the content. Like the process that we've been going through with clients for the past 7 years. I mean, we've been doing that same process for 5 years before we created any content. And then the content that we started to create was terrible. And then we had that pivot. We're like, all right, we're just going to create our own authentic content. Well, the stuff that we tell clients every day, the stuff that we tell prospects every day, the questions that they have every day. And once we started just pounding that, then everything just kind of took care of itself.
I don't want anyone to be fooled here. Like, guys, Nic thinks about his business a ton. And Nic, I haven't had this conversation with you, but I know you think about your business a ton because we all connect, me, you, Ryan, me and you offline. Like, we're having conversations at 9:30 at night on a Tuesday on the side. And I know you're thinking about Know My Plan and the business and where you guys are going and what you can be doing to drive more attention, create better content, create more engagement. Like, I know you're thinking about that stuff so often. So this isn't just for everybody watching. Like, Nic and his partner, Jeff, this is not a check the box activity. Like, they're thinking about this stuff. I don't know about 24/7, but it consumes a lot of their time.
I'm sure Nic can't shut it off.
Oh, it's impossible. I told a client yesterday, I mean, I love financial planning so much. I never want to retire. I hope that I die at 92 working on a financial plan and someone finds me buried under my HP 12C. That's how
it might be Anthony's.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if that's the inspiring or saddest thing I've ever heard. I'm not sure.
My 12C has been marked safe.
Yeah. Can we talk? Why was Anthony's in the bathroom in the first place? Did we ever get to that?
Well, I mean, you carry it with you everywhere you go. I mean, all real financial planners do. And if you ever want to go shopping for the car, if you want to go shopping for a car and not have anyone bother you while you're on the lot, you walk around with this. Nobody will approach you. I promise you.
That is the best.
Yeah.
That's the best gem anybody could get from this. I'm seeing a lot of cars going online, so I'm probably going to try that. But I almost want to do that just to see what it's like.
Oh, nobody will mess with you. They won't come near you. They might take a few steps towards you, then they see the calculator, then all of a sudden they have a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was the price on this again? Yeah. Love that. What else would you add in terms of advice for anybody over the things that we went through? Either processes, your one-page plan, marketing. What's something you've really been focusing on that you feel like took your business to the next step?
I think you have to understand that people have pain points. And you can have the best process in the world and you can have the most qualified client in front of you. But if they don't have a pain point, they're probably not going to make their life more complicated and start adding assets to you. So you have to understand what makes people want a financial planner, what makes people want to change the current path that they're on. And so understand the pain points that exist, understand the pain points that you solve really well, and just think about who you enjoy working with the most. And where those things intersect, that is who you need to be marketing to. Because those are the people that you're going to enjoy working with the most. And that's where those great mutually beneficial relationships last. And I think most of us would agree in this industry, the goal is to find great people that you can work with for the next 20 or 30 years, hopefully 50 years, right? You want to create that intergenerational wealth for these wonderful families. And eventually you transition to working with their kids and grandchildren. So understand who you can best help and just go all in after that.
We got a good one that came in here.
Yeah, and I'd like to I'll throw it up here for you. One came in from Panko. And obviously, be as specific or as general as you'd like, Nic. What's the ultimate goal for your business? Client size, revenue, etc.
Say to have 250 households that are just wildly passionate about us is our goal. We have a couple of financial planning arrangements, but the vast majority of people are on an asset-based pricing. So if the market goes down 40% and our assets under management go down 20%, I'm not going to beat myself up over it in the standpoint that, man, I did a really bad job. So I'm not going to tie what I think I'm doing as a financial planner or as a business owner to things that I can't control. And so that's why I don't really like revenue goals, but I would say no more than 250 households would be the absolute most.
What are you comfortable sharing where you guys are at now?
Yeah, I think we have about 185 right now.
And
Love it.
I forgot what I wanted to ask. How do you feel? That's an interesting question. With your process, how you're meeting people. That's why I also ask about hiring people. How do you feel about 250?
Yeah, I think it's very manageable for the two of us. I mean, our process is so efficient, and our follow-up, with the tasks and things that we set up for the most part, it's really, really efficient. And we're at the point now where we have a lot of clients that have been with us for, between 5 and 10 years. And there's not as much ongoing work most of the time for those people as there are with onboarding new clients. So you couldn't onboard 250 new relationships in a short amount of time with the financial planning that happens on the front end. Now, there does come with some complexities on the back end. You never know when they're going to hit, but you could have substantial life events that happen 5, 7, 10 years down the road that do take substantial planning. But as a percentage of clients, you're not going to have a large percentage of clients who all have a major life event in the same year. You could probably calculate maybe 10% of existing households have some major life event that takes additional planning.
My additional question would be, when you're meeting people with 90 days, are you doing that for the first year? Are you doing that until they get X amount of things done? When do you decide to stop that follow-up? When does the onboarding stop?
I would say that a lot of times that 90-day check-in for a lot of these clients that are 5, 7, 10 years into it, a lot of times that could be just a 15-minute phone call that I'm setting up with somebody. So if we have to debrief and have a longer conversation, then we'll set a second appointment. But a lot of these are just 10 to 15-minute conversation check-ins that we're doing with people. Probably 3 of the 4 are quick conversation, then 1 is more of like the formal annual review.
So you're calling everybody every 90 days?
Just about, yeah. Unless there's some significant planning event. And some people we try to, we have about 15% of our book is in annuities, a lot of it legacy business. So those people have activities for policy anniversary dates. So a lot of times we'll tie a 90-day review into one of those policy review dates as well. So we kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or a life insurance review date, something like that. So it may not exactly be 90 days, but it's going to be relatively close.
Yeah, that's awesome. As always, Nick, I appreciate you always opening up to us about what your business is and how you're doing it. Putting a spotlight on your business is not an easy thing to do, especially talking about it on the internet. But we all look at you as kind of the pinnacle of I feel like, content and processes. I've learned so much from you over the past year, marketing, as being an advisor, that I just appreciate you always being here and, opening up to us and sharing all of your insights. We all learn a ton and appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys both having me on, and people feel free to DM me if there's anything I can do to help you. I'll be glad to give you Corey and Ryan's phone number and pay them.
That's awesome. You're more than nice enough to kind of lead people in the right direction. You give a lot of life advice. And one of the things of why I say you're scaling simplicity is every time we talk, I just feel like you see the end and back into it so quickly. It's just a process that your brain goes through, which is why you couldn't help but grow the business of the individual helping you with your house and giving advice through people's businesses. And that's why I say I don't think you can shut it off. Your brain just operates, and it operates all day. I imagine you have trouble going to sleep. I don't know how you do it. But again, appreciate you being here so much, and hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Good luck next week, brother, if we don't talk. And I'm looking forward to that live basketball card break that we're going to do together.
I know, man. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that myself. I'm excited to see what cards I have at this point.
Yeah,
and me too.
We should do that. We should do a night show on that. You bring out your cards and we'll pull them up, and Corey can tell you, he'll rate them for you.
Live from the new house.
Is Wilt Chamberlain good? Is that good? Oscar Robertson, is that a good one?
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Nick, I'm sure you have some people to call and some drawings to make, so you have a good rest of your day.
See you guys.
See you, man. One of my favorite I can always say favorite guests, but one of my favorite people of all time so far, somebody I met, and we all feel that way. And one of the things I'd like to reiterate is the positivity that I always think comes from Nic and his content. I've even talked to you, Corey, sometimes when I put out a post and I'll say something like, did that sound negative? And you'll be like, it's a little negative. It's a little ranty. It was a little, and I don't know, maybe that's just how I am and what comes out. But you can tell Nic's authenticity, passion for financial planning, and his positivity leads in his content the whole way. I mean, it's the whole package that I think works. And that's what's difficult, but also why when we started talking about marketing, we started leading into business processes and helping build businesses and financial planning processes for MCO advisors, because we found, I feel like the disconnect in the marketing went back into the business itself. And even if you got somebody in front of you, would you know what to say and how to help them and what their pain points are? So those things that Nic brought up are exactly 100% on par with what we believe and what we're trying to help you guys figure out and help advisors figure out through MCO.
Yeah, what him and Jeff are doing is first class. There's not too many holes to shoot in their marketing program, from what I can tell. Like I said, we talk to Nic offline all the time. One question I want to ask him, and I'll ask him in the future. I'd love to know what he thinks this thing looks like in 12 months, or what he wished he had done 12 months ago. I'd like to know what keeps him up at night in terms of future marketing content.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and he gave us a number last time. He said 18 relationships. This time he didn't want to give us a number, and I'll never push somebody outside to do that. I'll probably just go text him so I know, so I can see. But it still is, it's amazing to hear where he's going to be in 12 months, probably at his 250 mark. I mean, he seems, I'm interested to hear how fast they're moving. And I wonder if he didn't want to be somebody who is like, I'm just displaying what it's not really like to be on LinkedIn. This is going too well. It's something similar where we talked to Andy, where it's, his Facebook group he's growing so fast, they don't even know what to do. There's something special about when that happens, and it doesn't happen to everybody. And we're never promising anybody to go viral or lead to that place. But to say that the internet and this marketing thing doesn't have, so much leg to stand on, and the ability to be able to change your life and your new business through marketing is why we do this. That's our passion. That's what we do. And that's what, I'm not going to promise you we'll make you Nic Nielsen, but I'm strongly hoping to push people in that direction. I want to make you the advisor you want to be and the full package business that you want to grow.
I will promise, and we don't throw out promises, I will promise that if you're willing,
5 million AUM per year. If
you're willing to work with us and put in the work and absorb the message that we're giving you and the coaching that we provide you, I promise we can help you move the needle. So that's what I can tell you. And what you just said, if you're sitting out there watching and you're not believing in digital content, digital media, social media, but yet we're saying that the United States election could be swayed depending on how certain countries or parties are behaving on Facebook. If you can move the election on digital media, on social media, for sure we can move your business.
If voting moves to an app, the world changes.
Absolutely.
And I think we all need to at least respect that and understand why we're putting out content and scale. But the more thing I say is, I think when we started too, it was like, guys, you need to start putting stuff out because nobody's putting stuff out. But now we've honed in on putting stuff out with the intent or having an actionable intent of a reason of putting stuff out. It comes with why you're building your story, how you're building your brand, what your processes are. And again, it leads into the business. And it's a lot of work. The failures that Nic and Jeff went through or why they're here now, going through the banking system, figuring out how to treat people, honing in on their process for years before they even started talking about it. And even after they had this gem of a process, they still delegated to canned content, realized it didn't work, and went back to talking about the powerful things in meetings. It's one of the biggest tips I could tell everybody. If you're looking for a content idea, think about your last meeting, think about something valuable you said, and create a post, video, podcast, whatever around that topic.
Yeah. And I mean, we drive this point home all the time, so I'll go off the record on this, but
show's over.
It's time. Guys, you got to plant the seed today to reap the benefits in August. That's the way it works.
Yeah, completely agree. and we're talking about the snowball, right? It's down 18 relationships is amazing. Let's start there. So even a while back, Nic was doing well, but to excel past a point when you don't even want to deliver the number just shows how capable, this platform can be. And it also goes to show that, remember, Nic was focusing on nurses and doctors when he got here. So he switched his message and voice and what he was doing based on who was on the platform, based his whole business based on this. And talk about a home run. And that's hard work and it's scary to do. But, for a guy who operates and solves problems and build that's now you're seeing the success of it. And it looks like, I'll just make a few drawings. But what Nic and Jeff have done has been years of hard work that have led to those drawings that have led to where they are now.
And it's also really cool that it trickles down. Like, its drawings are simple. My message is simple. Who I'm speaking to is simple. And how we build your financial plan is simple. How you engage with our website is simple. Our conversations are very human, not technical. It's the whole thing all stacks on top of itself.
I appreciate you sharing this, Eric. Solo is a shotgun approach. Working with Ryan Corey is very focused and results are going to happen. One of the things I want to hone in on that Nic said, and one of the things that I took directly from him, just to let everybody know, was when he was talking about the next 90 days or whatever, I was immediately like, that needs to be implemented today and what we're doing for people. And let's break this down into what is your homework? Send me these posts, send me these videos over email. We need to have more interaction between our meetings so we're getting things done. Like, a checklist is only good if you're checking things off of it. Otherwise, it's just this ever growing outline that just becomes so intense you never get started in the first place. That's what we're trying to take away, the shotgun approach. We're trying to keep people focused so you're saving your time and you're improving results. If that's the pain point we're focusing on, I want real results for everybody. So anyway, appreciate you guys
Nic
being
on
here.
all the time. He's just a stud.
I joke around that saying that he should be on every Friday or every other Friday or something, or we could have a Nic at night, like once a month or something. It just says, hey, how many clients did you get last week? And what are you doing about it? Like, when he's
Are you old enough to remember Nic at night?
I am. Yeah, I am. I was just maybe on the end of it or something, but I do know it well. So yeah, Nic at night, I'm right there.
Are you old enough to know TGIF?
Yes.
Like, you saw Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yes. Now, I will say, I think that Urkel, yeah. Some of these were so classic that I think even they probably crossed over a little bit of generations. But how old are you, Corey?
39.
39? Okay, I'm 32. So yeah.
Do you know Topanga?
Yes. Boy Meets World.
All right.
Of course. We're not that far. You're not
7
like
years. There's a lot of
7
TV
years
there.
is a lot. Yeah. No, I will honestly tell you this. There's something strange about what you just said. 7 years is interesting. I have a friend, or we have a husband and wife, friends of ours, 9 years older than us. Different worlds, man.
Absolutely.
Different worlds. There's something about, like, me and you, 7 seems to click. That extra 8 and 9, it goes somewhere. I don't know what it is, but he says stuff I don't understand. He listens to music. He's watched movies I haven't seen, and I'm a big movie guy. So, he's going back into movies in the 80s that I've missed because I was born in 88. So I caught some of them, but, I was pretty much way out from there.
I will agree with you. The 7
Wonder years. Absolutely. Love Wonder years.
7 years works. Like, 7 years for me and you works. But if I'm talking to a 28-year-old and I go 11 years, nothing.
Yeah. Forget it. They're like, what? You guys don't even understand each other.
Yeah, like, who's Tupac? I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. You've never even heard of him, not even by accident. Come on now. Not even by accident. What else do we watch? That's awesome. Yeah, Rugrats, all that stuff. Hey Arnold, were you into Hey Arnold? I feel like that came after. Yeah, Hey Arnold. What else?
You guys say Pokemon. I don't even understand it. I literally have no idea what it is.
Hey Arnold. What else? It's right there. Rocko's Modern Life. That was back. No Rocko's Modern Life. I feel like that was back before.
Never even heard of it.
SpongeBob SquarePants. That's a little bit more current. You know what it is, but it's not. Yeah, okay. I probably watched that till.
That's awesome. So wait, you clearly didn't understand the impact of the Dream Team. I mean, you were 4.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously knowing now and following sports and going back, but sure, when I didn't understand what I was watching when I was watching it, for sure. Like, I had the chance to watch Michael Jordan and I was like, oh, cool, it's Michael Jordan, but I didn't realize what was happening. I became to appreciate that, I think, back when I started really focusing on AI, Kobe, Then
Yeah, those
obviously
were
you
your
get into
guys.
you get into you obviously get into LeBron and things like
Yeah,
that. But
you
I
think of
started
Jordan on the Wizards.
also because I'm from Baltimore, so
There
I
you
was
go.
like, yeah, we got Jordan.
Yeah, he's 42.
16 points a game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, still destroying people with his fade. Happy Days, love Happy Days.
Man, we go.
I also, again, I don't know if I was I love TV, love watching movies, so maybe I'm different, but I was back there watching all those shows pretty intensely.
Like, did you ever
Family
you're homesick, homesick from school? Chips. You ever watch that?
No, not Chips. So that's a little bit farther back. I was big on Price is Right though. If I was sick, I was on Price is Right.
Bob Barker had to be.
I was like, come on. It's either $1, you got to go 697 right below that other a-hole.
Yeah.
Let's get this going.
That jet ski was 5,600. Come on.
Yeah. Sometimes I would walk up to my mom and be like, I wonder what's on today. I'd be like, Mom, I'm sick. She's like, what do you mean? What's going on? You're sick. I was like, I got to come with you to work. I gotta see what's going on.
Welcome to Off the Record, guys.
Again, really great show. Love talking to Nick every time.
How do you feel about
like
the new schedule?
I really appreciate the new schedule as of now. Have to still figure out what I should have done for boosting this post or promoting Nick more was putting a text post out on my own page, similar to the other page with like the picture that just has the post. It goes so much further. I keep trying to play with this event thing, and it didn't go as far. I feel like it didn't travel, and not as many people kind of knew it was coming. The event shut off at like 400 views, which was really short, whereas I think we would have had a couple thousand the other way. I love the cadence. I'm still figuring out how to work in between it, but it still is. Guests on Fridays is going to be killer. Everybody's going to, I feel like, going to know at least there's going to be a guest and show up here. It gives people something to look forward to. It gives us a break. Like, I love it in all directions, honestly.
Good. All right. Yeah. Same page.
I'm definitely don't feel the urge to go back to every day. Definitely not at the moment. If we ever do it, whatever, maybe, but for right now, I'm good with 2 days with us and 1 day with somebody everybody else wants to watch.
Agreed. All right. Well, with that, let's get some work done.
Let's do it. All right. We got to get some. Yeah, I'm going to finish this newsletter that's going to be coming out to you guys, if you remember, at 2:00, as long as I get this done before the meeting. So I got to go. See you guys. Let's see how far back we are. I'm going to refresh this and check this out. Fuck it. I'm just leaving. Broadcast.